आशाओं की किरण जगाने वाले हम, जन जन से संपर्क बढ़ाने वाले हम। आशाओं की किरण जगाने वाले हम, जन जन से संपर्क बढ़ाने वाले हम। आशाओं की किरण जगाने वाले हम, जन जन से संपर्क बढ़ाने वाले हम। आशाओं की किरण जगाने वाले हम। नगर नगर ये ग्राम और ये गलियारे, भरने इनमें नवजीवन के उजियारे। नगर नगर ये ग्राम और ये गलियारे, भरने इनमें नवजीवन के उजियारे। बार बार हम दोहराते हैं यही कसम, यही कसम, यही कसम। आशाओं की किरण जगाने वाले हम, जन जन से संपर्क बढ़ाने वाले हम। आशाओं की किरण जगाने वाले हम, जन जन से संपर्क बढ़ाने वाले हम। आशाओं की किरण जगाने वाले हम। हमें हटाना घर घर से अंधियारा है, हमें तोड़नी पाखंडों की धारा है। हमें हटाना घर घर से अंधियारा है, हमें तोड़नी पाखंडों की धारा है। सच को कहने वाली चलती रहे कलम, चलती रहे कलम। आशाओं की किरण जगाने वाले हम, जन जन से संपर्क बढ़ाने वाले हम। आशाओं की किरण जगाने वाले हम, जन जन से संपर्क बढ़ाने वाले हम। आशाओं की किरण जगाने वाले हम। कदम मिलाकर नर नारी सब और बढ़े, ज्ञान और विज्ञान नए सोपान चढ़े।
Thank you.
कदम मिलाकर नर नारी सब और बढ़े, ज्ञान और विज्ञान नए सोपान चढ़े। देना है संदेश यही हमको हरदम, यही हमको हरदम। आशाओं की किरण जगाने वाले हम, जन जन से संपर्क बढ़ाने वाले हम। आशाओं की किरण जगाने वाले हम, जन जन से संपर्क बढ़ाने वाले हम। आशाओं की किरण जगाने वाले हम, जन जन से संपर्क बढ़ाने वाले हम। आशाओं की किरण जगाने वाले हम, जन जन से संपर्क बढ़ाने वाले हम।
Good afternoon. We are about 21 seconds late, but I think we'll accept that. Good afternoon to all my revered speakers who are here, and to all of us who are watching this program. National PR Day is a significant day in our lives. and we are holding a discussion on G20 and Indian values and public relations perspectives as a result of that. But before we actually go into the conversation, let's have a. I just want to say a few things on what are the circumstances under which India has taken over the leadership of G20 since December last year. When India took the presidency of G20 in December last 2022, as a nation, it decided that the focus of the new global cooperation movement will revolve around India's culture and social philosophy. The primary underpinning of the India presidency was peace, harmony, and development of all. Since the independence, India has faced the twin threat of Pakistan induced cross border terrorism and China's unbridled expansionism. Evidently, the China Pakistan nexus, with a hegemonic slant to neighbors and a military dictatorial psyche, has often pushed the country away from development first approach to a muscular, nationalistic, and security first posture. The backdrop of India's G20 presidency comes at a time when the world is faced with issues like the Ukraine war, food security, inflation, major health issues emanating from the COVID fallout, and the hugely bothersome US China rivalry that threatens to hit at the root of global development and sustainability. The question is, can the Indian values, which is primarily focused on world peace and human development, overcome these challenges and make the world a better place for human existence? To begin with, may I call upon Professor Ujjwal Chaudhary to offer his views. But I shall pause for a moment to say a few words about our first guest speaker of the afternoon.
Thank you, sir, but keep it to few words only.
It is the few words that epitomizes you. Professor Ujjwal Chaudhary is a maverick who travels between communication and academics and its practice, between profession and social engagement, between traveling and staying put. Currently, Executive Director of International Online University, Dubai, and Strategic Advisor and Professor, Daffodil International University, Dhaka, and the Vice President of Global Media Education Council. He was till 2021 the Pro Vice Chancellor of Adamas University and has been earlier the Dean of Symbiosis and Amity Universities, apart from the Pearl Academy and Whistling Woods International. He has been a wanderer, working as a media consultant in Nepal, consulting with Amsterdam Film Schools in Netherlands, working on films for Who in several nations, and working with Accor Media in Dubai. He speaks and writes on various platforms and works in a civil society initiatives on media, entrepreneurship, and democracy. He runs a school for children of marginalized communities of Sundarban area of Bengal in the memory of his late mother, Srimati Onu Chaudhary. So, to you, Ujjwal, you
Thank
may
you.
take over from me now.
The way you introduced me, it seems that I'm the Yuvan Sang or Ivan Batuta of these days, moving from one place to another. That's good fun. That's the essence of public relations. You need to be keep moving, need to keep meeting people and building relationships. The topic that you have taken, the PRSI has taken this year for the National PR Day, is indeed very timely. India has taken the leadership of. There is a little disturbance. Can the other mics go silent or mute, please? And then each person while talking can unmute. Okay, coming back. So there is a it's a good topic for the day because India has taken the leadership of G20 at this point of time, and there is a nation once again. There's a disturbance. Someone is unmuted. There is now the need for peace focus in a big way with the with the Ukraine-Russia war worsening by the day, without any end to it and without a clear victor as well. In a war, neither party is victorious; both lose. As you have said, that Indian ethos, starting from Vasudeva Kutumbakam, which speaks about interconnectedness of humanness of human beings, is indeed has been the policy or the principle on which even Panchashil was created post-independence. And today, in the post-pandemic times, the need for this is even further. We have common problems like never before. Climate change. You can see the way we are facing the wrath of the heat today in April itself. What we used to get in June, and these are only the beginnings. There are several other areas. The pandemic itself is known to be a product of, on one side, climate change, and on the other side, human habits and animal human relationship. And then the way the world cooperated in a way, collaborated to create the vaccine. This has been the fastest vaccine in human history. So it is very clear that there cannot be a world without collaboration today. And hence, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is truer for this time. Let me give you a very startling statistics. The world's total economy is of $101 trillion at this point of time, out of which $22 trillion and a little more is only of the arms and ammunitions. Only of the arms and ammunition, the largest industry sector of the world is the one that kills man by man, is the weapon, is the machinery to kill human beings. That's the largest sector of the economy. We are talking of public relations, we are talking of PR, we are talking of PR. And here, that's the reality. The second largest, what we consider as fundamental to human existence, is food and beverage, hunger. And food and beverage is the second largest economy, part of the economy. Third largest, travel, tourism, and hospitality. Before pandemic in 2019, one out of every seven human beings crossed the frontiers of their country. One out of every 11 human beings worked in this sector of travel, tourism, hospitality. And today we have brought this down. In fact, it's again rising after the pandemic, but it went down to the pits, in fact, in 2020. What's the point I wanted to make here is that there is enough and more weaponry in the world to destroy the world 3,562 times. Not one time, not two times, not 10 times. 3,562 times the world can be destroyed. Under such situation, and the fact that so many countries are nuclear powers, so many countries have non-nuclear other weapons of mass destruction, and the challenges of climate, pandemics, and such things is also extreme. Under such situation, it is imperative that we bring about the values of collaboration at the global level. Cultural exchanges and dialogues. This is what the essence of PR is, to develop relationships through exchanges and dialogues. And hence, in these current times, interfaith, through culture, and through peace dialogues, this collaboration has to move to the next level. Interfaith dialogue is not only a matter of internations or multiple nations. It's also a matter of different groups within the nation. We can see in our country how interfaith dialogue is going down, how hatred is replacing amity and peace and love for one another. Cross-cultural learning. This is very significant. G20 also upholds this thing in a big way. Cross-cultural learning. India has been a land of multiple languages, communities, religions, and cultures. I mean, there is no similarity of neither cuisine nor dress nor any other aspect between my state, West Bengal, and let's say Tamil Nadu, but still we exist as one country. So, therefore, this spirit of completely differently looking, apparently organized places, people should come together. That has to go from within the country to beyond the country, between the among the nations. So cross-cultural learning, and therefore G20 nations travel of teams of professionals and cultural personalities is a necessity today. PR professionals from across the G20 countries therefore need to collaborate further. Humanitarian causes, natural catastrophes, conflicts, and accidents. I really appreciate my school senior, General Jarkin Gamlin, was leading the Indian team in Nepal after the devastating earthquake in Nepal. And the love and affection of the people that he got there, he can never forget. That 17 days that he spent on the Nepali land in this humanitarian crisis to bringing about relief and rehabilitation, he can never forget in his life. Media writing and videos on the benefits of global collaboration and exchange programs. That's another area that needs to be done or taken up in a big way. Joint development projects of international partnerships of universities and NGOs. Today, it's important to handle the major problems of the society, whether it's climate change, whether it's any other problem. There has to be a collaborative approach of universities and NGOs or even governments across many nations. So, for example, the coastal challenges of coastal Asia is very strong. We know Amphan, we know several other storms and natural catastrophes, and we also know human-made, man-made disasters in coastal Asia. So if universities of several coastal major countries of Asia, like India, like Indonesia, like Malaysia, if they come together and collaborate, that is where the world can evolve to the next level. And advocating multilateralism, we are, as rightly our moderator, vice chairman of the PRSI Calcutta, Mr. Subhash Mohanty, who is a very respected senior economic journalist, business journalist of this country, he has already told that the conflict between US and China is coming up, is replacing and bringing the memory of the old Cold War and reinvigorating in a way, in a negative way, the USSR Cold War in today's times. This is against multilateralism. We need to have multilateralism both in the country, within the country, and beyond the country. So decisions and problem solving through the UN bodies, neither the collaboration or what you call coalition of allies that US does when it fought against Iraq, when it fought against several other countries. So neither that nor individual decision making of violence and conflict the way Russia has done in Ukraine. What we need is multilateralism today. We do not need an old Cold War in a new bottle. Old Cold War of US USSR in today's US China context. Then social media and digital campaigns. There's a huge power of social media. We know that. So collaboration, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam spirit through the PR network across the world can come through social media and digital campaigns also. The sharing of best practices, diplomacy, communication in every field. There are scientific research, best practices share can be done. International training and development, volunteer programs, and educational exchange, a very significant part. I'm in a way a part of an organization called Association of Universities of Asia and Pacific. More than 300 universities are members. There are 5,992 universities in Asia and the Pacific. And these 300 universities, out of those 5,900, they collaborate even on research, joint research, many programs together. That's the spirit we need to have. It's not about government to government relations anymore. It's about people to people relations. It's about relations that can go across to different segments, sectors of the society. Artists collaboration, scientists collaboration, PR professionals collaboration, filmmakers collaboration. That's the spirit that we need to bring about. And the spirit of these collaborative efforts across nations should be stronger than what governments bring to their agenda of conflicts at times, the way we are seeing in Russia and Ukraine conflict. Thank you very much for the opportunity that you have given. I strongly believe that an organization, a public organization like Public Relations Society of India, has an important role in bringing forth the spirit of collaboration beyond the country among nations and within the country among communities. At a time when we are facing an election less than 12 months from now, let's uphold the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, not only among nations, but also among people of our own country. Let the elections and these considerations not create disharmony, violence, lynching of one community by the other. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Joel. That was really impressive. You already have a blueprint ready, which is actually very exciting. And on a very serious note, as I say, that there are so many things that you spoke about today. These are actually possible because there are so many organizations which are non-political and only people organizations, and definitely connecting people to people is one way of relieving this tension that they're going through now, which has also percolated to the nature, and we can see how nature is reacting today. So, thank you very much for your words. I would now turn to Saira, our only lady in this group, but nevertheless, the significance of that cannot be ruled out. I mean, that being the only lady doesn't mean that we are not showing much respect to ladies. Actually, we are showing a lot of respect because we do understand that the women on earth are going to be the real game changers in the times to come. So before Saira starts speaking to us, I would like to introduce Saira, a few words on her. Uh, Saira Shah Alim is a social and peace activist. She's a TEDx speaker, an educator, a writer, a theater personality, image and brand consultant, and like she likes to talk about her, a free spirit. Uh, she recently contested a high pitched bypoll election from Baliganj constituency, fielded by CPIM, and gave the winner from TMC a tough fight, emerging as the runner up. Raised all over the country and in Gulf as an army officer's daughter, Saira started her corporate career, which entailed graveyard shifts with some of the top MNCs and corporate houses in training, learning, and development roles. Having hung up her corporate boots a few years ago, for more meaningful and impactful causes, Saira has metamorphosed as one of the more prominent social and gender activists of the country and spends her time taking up cudgels of society. She is known to take up causes of disenfranchised, politically marginalized, and is well-known face on Indian national television speaking on myriad social and political issues. Saira is known to voice her opinions vociferously and with perfect conviction on national television. In a short film, Ek Khas Aadmi can be viewed on YouTube on NDTV Talkies. As a conscientious citizen, she is known to hit the roads for causes, being felicitated with numerous awards for her humanitarian and social work. She also she's also known to be a wordsmith and a poet who pens political and social essays along with poetry with equal ease. She's also a popular culturist and literature, known to ideate psychedelic programs, reviving lost art forms, and is a regular speaker at literary festivals across the country. Recently, she was awarded the SARC Women's Award by the SARC Women's Association Dhaka for her contribution in the cultural, literary, and bilateral contribution with SARC countries at Dhaka in 2019. And I think we could go on. Saira has so many capabilities, and one of them is going to be, which we will witness today as an able speaker. Though she has not much time, but I'm sure in these few minutes she will be able to impress us enormously.
Yeah.
So over to you, Saira.
So, good evening, sir, Mr. Mohanty, Mr. Goyal, Professor Ujjwal Chaudhary. So, thank you so much for having me over. As Professor Ujjwal Chaudhary already elaborated, that this year's theme, when India is taking over the presidency of a very, very pertinent G20, the theme is one earth, one family, one future, that is Vasudeva Kutambakam. And he also talked about the inclusiveness, which I think is very, very important. Because here, the theme which underscores global interconnectedness, it reflects a very pro-planet approach towards not only humans, towards microorganisms, towards nature, towards plants, and it will be a very strong indicator as far as strengthening global interconnectedness. So what we need to do is we need to look at the merits of this program. We need to really lap it up and see how we can showcase India on a global platform. Here the topic is as far as the values, how do we showcase Indian values as far as the public relations is concerned. So here I'd like to just iterate once again that here what we are witnessing is a post-pandemic. I think we can put the other mics on mute. I think there's a little bit of a technical, yeah. So in the post-pandemic, yes, it's much better now. Thank you so much. So in the post-pandemic and the post-war era, we were talking about the Ukrainian and Russian conflict. What is the most critical global challenge ahead is ensuring that we have equitable economic recovery, and we need to recover fast, because globally this is something that is affected not only India, but big economies across the world. And we know that G20 consists of 19 major economies of the world. So here, this will be a big opportunity to ensure equitable economic recovery. Then it can be done through collective action, and towards guaranteeing open supply chains. We need to ensure that there are open supply chains that can facilitate these essential commodities. And we also need to do one thing is that we need to collaborate and diversify as far as investment is concerned, as far as production is concerned, corporations which can support the multilateral trading system. So we need to encourage the and boost the trading system between the countries in the G20. So I think this is something that when India has taken over the presidency, it is something to ensure and establishing an inclusive, not only inclusive, something that is sustainable, something that is long lasting. Multilateral trading system is, I think, the call of the hour, especially when we are looking at emerging economies. So we need to make the necessary transition to a sustainable future. Now, when we keep talking like what is sustainable, I think sustainability today is the actual buzzword, because here we are looking at how we can, have less carbon, footprints. We are leaving carbon footprints on the earth. How do we economize? How do we make the planet more sustainable? We have seen how Kolkata in the last 1 week, I think, has been really hot. It's because of global warming, but nobody is even talking about that. What will happen next year? Is anybody ideating about that? What will happen next to next year? Here we are just saying, it's so hot, it's so hot. But what are we doing about it? Are we taking any sustainable action? Or what we are actually witnessing that it is hot, but yes, it is hot. But what is the doable right now? I think that is something that we can look at. Now, here we need to scale up, because India has a long way to go, but it has immense potential. You look at our tourism. We can do we can really do momentous work as far as tourism is concerned. You look at yoga. I think yoga globally, everybody is talking about yoga. Millets. People are talking about millets. So why can we not make millets, like a lifestyle? Because food is also culture. Food, and once culture, when you talk about culture, automatically culture becomes a part of Indian values. Then we'll talk about lifestyle for environment. We talk about incredible India program, because there's so many virgin territories in India which do not get that importance or the kind of stress that it should be getting. So I think we can really boost up the incredible India platform. And here, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, that will of course run parallelly along with the G20, the tagline. Then we need to, I think, collaborate as far as culture and heritage is concerned. We need to preserve it and also talk about why the G20 countries, how we can boost the tourism, why they need to take a deeper interest as far as culture and tourism is concerned. Because hosting 200 meetings in over 50 cities and across 32 different work stream is no small feat. It is a very big thing. And I think we need to really prioritize this huge momentous occasion and make sure that as far as India's priorities are concerned, which consists of green development, climate, finance, sustainability, these are the focal moot points, the talking points. And here we also need to talk about, like I mentioned earlier, accelerated, inclusive, resilient growth, accelerating progress as far as technology is concerned. Because if you remember the last year, we were talking about digital technology. Now, how can we take that forward? Because here India will be taking over as far as presidency is concerned. But here you look at all our programs, as far as Aadhaar is concerned, you look at e-seva and so many other digital, platforms. You look at Cowin, you look at Ayushman Bharat, you talk about the UPIs, you talk about KYC, the ONDC. I mean, everything. I think India has developed some of the world's most efficient digital public platforms. And I think this is something that needs to be democratized. And here we need to talk about it so that we see that digital technology is also part of the values. Here, we are making a very deliberate point here because here we are taking the old along with the new. Here we are talking about heritage. We are talking about incredible India, where we are going to showcase, our culture and history. But here, at the same time, we need to talk about how we have made rapid strides as far as technology is concerned, how we can partner with the G20 countries and also the lesser developed countries, because that we need to be inclusive. So how we can partner that? Last year I had visited Tajikistan, and I spoke about how digital technologies can enable a better partnership with the Eurasian countries, you know. And I think that would be wonderful if we can somehow partner with the lesser explored countries, because I know that these countries have an amazing relationship with India. Tajikistan enjoys a fantastic relationship with India, but that's great. But how can we boost the economy of that country, which would be like a win-win situation for India as well as Eurasia? Now, coming back to G20, here, like when I talk about yoga, minutes, in lifestyle for environmental, the life, and different values, I think we need to showcase that and make that the main priority on a global level, where we are seen as an enabler of growth and sustainable development. I think that should be the key point. And we can firmly position culture as an engine for propelling sustainable growth as well as economic recovery, because we've seen the small to mid-sized businesses how they incurred a huge hit. So we can take the G20 as a platform for recovery, post-pandemic, post-war, because global economies have definitely suffered, because of this war situation. Then we can also adopt a declaration adopting culture as a global public good. So when you're talking about culture, automatically it's a part of Indian values, because I think culture plays a huge role as far as showcasing Indian values is concerned. It's India's soft power culture. I think, yeah. So here we need to recognize the synergy between culture and the other policy areas, and considering the impact of culture and cultural heritage and the creative economy that can come up through the G20, it has immense potential. So it can be seen as a huge culture, Indian values can be seen as a huge economic sector, but it can also be seen as a cohesive thread that binds other cultures together. And I think in the G20 presidency, we need to make culture as a key component for effective multicultural exchanges that can boost our diplomatic equation with the other G20 countries, as well as ensuring trade and commerce. And I think it will give a big boost as far as recovering the economy is concerned. It will also help in harnessing the living heritage for a more sustainable future. And coming back to how the different digital platforms have made it into a democratized section, because here, if somebody wants to log into, say, Cowin or the Aadhaar or the Ayushman Bharat scheme or any of these schemes, you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay money. So I think that is something that has democratized what do you call how we use technology. And I think digital technology is should be the priority. It was when Indonesia was chairing the G20, and this was in the year 2022. So if we take it forward, and I trade that this is something that India takes very seriously, I think that would really enable the kind of vision we are giving to the future, the way India stands as far as technology, that it's a young generation. People are peppy. They are working, in digitizing the different businesses, and we are also offering digital solutions that can accelerate other businesses. I think that would be something that is inclusive framework to harness the potential of new technologies as well. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for your views. It was a very wide-ranging kind of a view that you presented today. Uh, one of the significant points which came out of your discussion here was how we should showcase ourselves on a global platform. You know, one of the important things, perhaps I would like to mention here, although that would be a separate discussion altogether, and probably we will require another, program like that to talk about, is to all the things that we need, the success that we want to achieve at this G20 platform in terms of global development and sustainable development for the people of the world is very important that we are able to transcend political differences, not only outside internation but also intra-nation. We have a lot of issues within our country, which is understandable. But when we come to very serious issues like today, which we are talking about, these issues there we have to have a commonality of approach. Definitely, it's something that I feel that this is the kind of communication that we as an organization should be able to give to public at large. You talked about very interesting was the to encourage trading systems. India has been doing that in the recent past. India has gone beyond the SARC and the BRIC. Now it has gone into UK, specifically UAE, and then Shanghai Cooperation. All this now, India is building up different trade platforms. Is it to actually strengthen its own efforts in global exports, as well as the requirements that we have in the country, which we need to import whenever that is necessary? So that is one thing which is actually going on. And the other issue, which again you talked about, very serious issue, global warming. We are all facing it right now. What are the solutions? We don't know. Some of us are doing something in our own way. Organizations are there planting trees, trying to talk about how to use less and less chemicals and things like that. So all this kind of thing is happening. But once again, we will have to transcend all kinds of political boundaries to come to solutions which are which will actually provide the succor that we are thinking for the entire human race. So this is an ongoing process. It will go beyond G20 this year. It will probably go to over for the next 4 to 5 years, where we hope that India will emerge as one of the largest economies in the world. We are already the largest populated, as yesterday's UN unofficially they said that we've crossed, our population has crossed China. So now we are the most populated country. So it also means the biggest market for the world. So those are the things. The thing, your discussion about your about digital technology. Yes, I think whether you like it or not, everything is going to become digital. Has to become digital. There is no way it is going to happen like that. And there, it will also encourage another discussion on that, which I feel is that what is behind this? Because as far as I know, all the technology also is bringing in a lot of carbon. How are you going to get over that? That is another discussion. But at the moment, I think, thank you for your views, and let's hope there will be some queries to you. Uh, uh, so we will move on quickly to our final speaker of the evening, Sailesh Goyal is the founder of Simulations Public Affairs Management Services Private Limited, an integrated communication management consultancy that has been offering 360-degree communication solutions for over 2 decades now. Earlier, Mr. Goyal had a decade-long stint of working with media houses like Bennett and Coleman, Times of India Group, Living Media, India Today, and corporates like Torrent Pharmaceuticals and Vadilal Foods. A bachelor's in technology, Sailesh Goyal is an MBA and holds a PGDM in enterprise management from Bengaluru. His company Simulations has been engaged in PR and corporate communications, digital communications, content development, media research, and event management, among other areas, crafting for its clients efficacious communication strategies that cut through the noise and help them build reputation of business eventually. Mr. Sailesh Goyal is also Vice Chairman of India Media Center. Ladies and gentlemen, our last speaker of the day, please welcome Sailesh Goyal. I think you're on mute. You're on mute. Can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, sorry. So, thank you, sir. Thank you, Vasunta. Thank you, Mr. Mohanty. It was wonderful listening to my previous speakers.
I'm sorry, you are muting again. Hello.
Oh my God. Yeah, sorry. So, as we all know, G20 is a premier forum of governments developing and developing country. We have Canada and we have Germany, we have Indonesia and we have India. So put together, we all in the G20 collectively we are having almost 85% of the world's GDP, 75% of the international trade, and two-thirds of the world's population. Now, this together is providing India an excellent opportunity for propagating, promoting our Indian value systems and showcasing them, what India stands for. And as we all know, and Prime Minister also has listed that our age-old philosophy, the Samgachdvam, which is let's move together, Samadvam, which is let's all interact together, and Samabo Manani Janatam, that is everyone's mind should be alike and also be one. So this is listed, this is mentioned in our probably 1,000-year-old books, in which we are also reiterating today. Today we are mentioning the same, and more when India is assuming has assumed the presidency of this. So we have seen in the country a lot of G20 country representatives are there. I'm based in Ahmedabad. I'm part of CII task force also. We have hosted already more than right from the kickoff meeting T20 for the think tank to the more than dozen meetings have happened on different sectors, different subjects. I've seen a very serious concern on the in the representatives' mind. They have been taken to the places which are being showcased as Indian system, Indian value system, Indian culture, as Saira rightly said, and when many other aspects of the country, which they find inspiring, which they find amazing, how it happens in the country like India, and this is triggering somewhere to follow what our country system is followed. We have stand together. The technology, of course, has taken a leaps and bounds, and we have shown how digitization, how we have uh, cooped up with the vaccination, how we cooped up with the healthcare system, which is one of the major identified area amongst the G20 countries, because the post the uh, the lockdowns and the corona has given them what is to be prioritized now. And ours is a robust healthcare system. We have not only survived, but we have the vaccine method, which we have shown is an example before the world's eye. We have given vaccine when we ourselves were suffering. So this kind of attitude is showing our ethos of the Indian system. We say that Atmano Mokshartham Jagatitaiche, all work is an opportunity for doing good to the world. And we have not only been saying that, we have shown with examples. The other day, I was interacting with the official of German government, who came as a part of G20. They said that we are trying to help reach out to our citizens with the aid which we have declared the as the corona support system, but we do not have system which can handle more than a lakh transactions. Now imagine in a country like us, where a simple private operator is doing more than 1 crore transaction every day. So how fast and how swiftly we have been able to cope up with the pressure which has come, or uh, which we are now actually doing as a master class to all the entire world, or especially the G20 company, even to the developed countries like UK and Canada. So for us as a public relations professional, we look it at as a very excellent opportunity to propagate the values which we have always imbibed, and it has been part of our growing system, our cultural system, to actually showcase them now and take them along, make it, because there's a vacuum we are seeing everywhere. We are seeing it. There's a leadership vacuum. There's a creative thought leader vacuum across the world, and this is an opportunity for India, especially when we have assumed the presidency. So this is only beginning. This will trigger in the minds of the country which we are part of, which we are together, and we are trying to take them together towards a better and a peaceful world. Yes, all the sectors need work, and priority sectors have been listed by the G20, whether infrastructure, whether healthcare, whether wellness, whether the education, and exemplary work has been done, taking the best practices out of the country, what India has showcased. The adaptable models are being prepared, so that at every level, whether it's a developing country or it's a developed country, they are able to take out of the best and able to implement in their own countries. And this will again showcase the strength, the ability, and the large heartedness of our country. And we have been always saying that Parasparo Devo Bhava, Tesham Sukham, Tesham Shanti, Shashwati. So infinite happiness, infinite peace comes to them, those who see divine in everyone. And that's how we Indian value systems are being propagated. So let's look at the G20 presidency as only the beginning. We have miles to go, but we have things to do in the what everyone has already said, that Vasudev, with the attitude of Vasudev Kutumbakam. So we have always been treated. We have always treated that we have never done things which in turn we would not like have happened to in the country, and that's where the real meaning of Vasudev Kutumbakam has happened. We have not even retaliated at the situations where uh, any other country would have given a stronger or the more intensified reactions. This shows a lot about our Indian value system and our taking people together and respecting each other's boundary. So this is, I will put the perspective from a public relations professional and from Indian country perspective. Thank you.
Uh, thank you, Shailesh. You were very precise with your comments. Thank you all. I would like to thank everyone, but before we call it a day,
Yeah.
maybe we will have a little bit of a closing kind of a thing
Yeah,
from each of us. So
Yeah.
to start with, Shaira, if I ask you
yeah, sure.
that, see, we are besieged with this issue of how we will lead the world in this development that we are talking about, and without leading. I mean, we are talking about peace. We are talking about prosperity with peace, not fighting each other. So maybe in your mind, would you like to enlist, let's say, five things that India should prioritize? One, two,
Hmm.
three, four, five. What it should do, and in leading this what do you call it? this effort.
Okay.
So,
So yeah, so thank you so much. I think when we are talking about the G20 theme, we're talking about the entire world as, as one race, one people. So I think, what we are witnessing is, a state of, what do you call communalism in India. And I think the government can take this opportunity to stop this communalism and hate crimes in its track. I think that is something that the youth should not dabble in at all, because here we are talking about digital technology. Here we are talking about how we can address the gender pay gap. Here we are talking about how we can address the global health inequities. I think the last thing that India should be dabbling in is communalism and hate crimes. I think that is something very disturbing, and I think G20, we should. Uh, Try and what do you call come out of a certain reputation that we have accumulated past couple of years, that the hate crimes are increasing, so we can kind of take a clean what do you call break from that and give a very stern warning to anybody, irrespective of the religion. Whoever dabbles in hate crimes would be dealt with very seriously. Then globally, we would be respected more, rather than op-eds coming out that this incident happened and this lynching happened and that happened. I think we can take this opportunity to clear those issues that we have been witnessing. And also, B, when you talked about five, I think this occasion can also be a big opportunity to talk about a global health agenda and reinforce the need for placing multilateralism as a center of crisis response and recovery, because we've seen how the pandemic, we kind of face those health gaps. And I think we didn't have much time to actually talk about recovery or talk about the existing healthcare gaps in our system. And I think we can use this opportunity to address the contemporary challenges the world, especially India, has faced, especially during the pandemic. So here we can talk about the global health mechanisms that India is currently undertaking. We can also use it to explore the role that India has taken up as far as providing aid, medical aid across the world, because we have sent some of our finest doctors as far as medical aid is concerned. So we need to close in the gap as far as global health inequities are concerned. And also, I think we can take this opportunity to explore more creative solutions towards overcoming global, I'm not talking global, this is local challenges. I think that can really help. Then we can also kind of regulate and balance, the financial instability, when we can talk about innovation, how we're going to innovate and how we can help the mid-sized businesses, and, talk about urban poverty elevation. Because here, whatever we might talk about digital transformation, we might talk about digitization. What will we do with the digital inequity, the digital inequality we saw in the pandemic, how we swiftly kind of transitioned from classroom training to online training. But there were so many children who were unable to transition to online training. How do we balance that? Because, we left a huge chunk out from, from as far as the students are concerned. So we can innovate, and I think we can close in the gap: health, education, finance, give a big boost to the mid-size economies, homemakers. I think when we talk about the homemakers, let's also talk about the big role that they played in keeping the fort, keeping the families alive. A lot of them turned bakers, they became home entrepreneurs, and they were the ones who were keeping the kitchen fires burning when the men in the family had lost their jobs. And I think we need to what do you call congratulate them, because they were the ones who held fort, and they were the ones who were actually keeping the economy what do you call alive. then we can also address youth issues, employment, technology, housing, governance. All these are something that affects the youth, aside the future work, aside sustainable economic recovery, aside digital transformation, energy transition, and change mitigation. When we talk about all this, I think this is something that is some of the key youth issues, the employment. I think we need to really focus on the big economic challenge that is ahead. So thank you so much for having me over. It was a fantastic discussion.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. Uh, how would you respond and how would you add to this conversation, Sailesh? I would have your last word before we
Yeah,
close the evening.
sure. Thank you, Dada. So, on a broader aspect, on the macro level, our Prime Minister has already given the Panchamrit. This is the priority, which is the urgency, and because it's going to take longer duration, longer time for probably few decades, which includes like reaching to the non-fossil energy targets of capacity of say 5,500 gigabytes. That's one which is they have rightly targeted to by the end of the 2030, or say fulfill 50% of the energy requirement by renewable energy by 2030. Now these are important aspects and which are to be dealt with very in an urgency mode actually, because if you don't do, all of us know that energy is the core, it's the base. All the artificial intelligence or everything else will go in the garbage box, in the dump box, if your mobile is not starting, or if your the computer is not working because of the lack of energy or lack of power. So we have to look at this in a equally priority area, as good as the the core areas like healthcare, like the education, like the other systems. We have to reduce the carbon intensity also below 45% by 2030. And 2030 is a very achievable, I would say, boundary which has been set. It's not talking about like 2050 or 2070, probably by the which time most of us will not be there around to see and talk about it. We are here to see. Yes, there's only one target, which is net zero target, which will be by the targeted at 2070, which is some total of all the other things actually. But in the bits and pieces, we have taken leadership in most of the things which are bothering, and we have made the technology commercialized in such a way that it is affordable to everyone, even the poor countries, even the developing countries, and even the neighboring countries. And they have been given the advantage of the technology developed by us, so as to they can come up, because we are as good as our neighbors are. They always say that if the neighbor is weak, we are weak equally. So we have taken that attitude, and these things we have to put it into the larger side. And the motto which has been promoted again, I would say that the life, which is lifestyle for environment. Lifestyle for environment is the biggest change which we are anticipating and which we are promoting. Because if we do not change the remarkable changes in our lifestyle, the environment will continue to get deteriorated, and any amount of talks will not help if we do not start at our level, my level, your level. Actually, thanks.
Thank you so much, Shailesh. So,
Yeah,
to quickly round it up, I think we have uh, hopefully we have provided enough food for thought for not only the planners and implementers, but also for the communicators whose special day today is, and to be able to make the right noises in the country to encourage the world to listen to us,
yeah,
listen to the bigger issues that today we are faced with. I mean, Sarah spoke about a lot of things. I mean, I think some of the important things which I felt were very significant were we're talking about innovation. Absolutely, when we are talking about disruption on one side, there has to be innovation for the greater good. Then to help middle businesses, that is very important in this country, which is that because today we have, I think, I don't know, at the last count that I had was some 1.6 million uh, MSMEs, which are today faced with a lot of severe financial issues as a result of the problems that the banking system in the world is facing now. So that's there. Then we have urban poverty, very, very important point. And that is something which needs to be addressed very quickly. Health, education, finance, and last but not the least, I think congratulating the homemakers was a very, very emotional point that you made, and that's very true because nobody gave it a thought. And what really they did for the last 2 years, how the country has moved. Today we say no, no, we didn't face much. 2 years is gone. No, nobody is even thinking about what happened during those COVID times, and that was made possible only because of the homemakers who were there, who were looking after the children, looking after the whole family. There were people who were working from home, people who were studying from home, and suddenly there was need for more space in every house. And how did they manage that was remarkable. So this is a fantastic point that you gave today, and thank you all for this. I mean, there would be, and we could go on. There were so many interesting points that, and we could discuss each of these points. But uh, today we need to at least say, come to some kind of conclusion. And I think the conclusion is that uh, there are issues. There were the issues are always there. The issues are even today, but today is a new environment, and we need to actually work together. We have to transcend every political thought that is in this country to work together on issues which benefit the humankind. So thank you so much for all of you. Thank you, Ujjwal. Thank you, Saira, and thank you, Sailesh, for
Thank you so
agreeing
much,
to be a
Mr.
part of
Mohanty.
this discussion. And I hope we will again rejoin at some other time with some more interesting things to talk about. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank
Such a pleasure.
you.